Hey, Curious Dude here with Van Gogh and another update about the carburetors. So if you watched the last video, you'll see that I was about ready to give up all hope on these original PD-SIT carburetors. And well, I've changed my mind again, because after I watched the video a couple more times and I reflected on things, I realized I missed a couple of big rocks. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about what I'm going to try and change here in the settings I've altered. And then you can watch towards the end of the video where we'll try and start it again and see how it goes. Okay, so here we are back together, and I made some changes, and I'll show you a couple of obvious ones. So the first thing is that there's a tube that connects both intakes, and there's a boot, these are new, and it connects over to here, and you see it there. This feeds a line on the back which plugs into the master cylinder, or the brake booster, and it was wide open. So there was a gaping hole here about the size of your pinky finger that was just basically, giant vacuum leak right into under the carbs, which that is not good. So I've capped that off. The other thing is I changed these. These are like an idle solenoid. So basically when there's power to the coil, these open a little valve, and it basically, I think it's to ensure that the engine doesn't like overrun or diesel out when you turn it off. And I had replaced mine with sort of some jets that did the same thing on different carbs. And I decided to make this back to original settings for 1974 with the belief that, maybe the way the system's designed, it all needs to run together. So we did that. The other thing is this carb on this left side here, I was having some, or right side if you're facing the engine, I was having some fuel leakage. And I thought it was an issue with something with sticky needle valve or something. Well, it turns out actually just one of these plugs had worked itself loose, and the gasket was wrecked on it. So I fixed that, so that stopped there. Took these carbs apart again and went back to factory specs, and a couple of key things that were really wrong with this. First of all is it has to do with this linkage setup here. I'll zoom, it's a little hard to see, but this is part of the choke setting, okay? So when the choke is on, you'll see that there's quite a gap right down in there. That's the throttle stop setting and the carb base. And so it holds the throttle open a fixed amount. And if I close the carb, and actually I have to do it to both carbs, hang on here. All right, so I just opened up both throttle. You'll see that that gap that was between that throttle stop and the carb base is closed now. So that linkage there is the fast idle linkage, and they were totally messed up. In fact, it was so bad on this side that this with the choke closed wasn't even on fast idle. It was on the setting, just right on the butterfly, just basically completely shut. Now, the other thing is that the amount that the throttle is open on both carbs is different. So the factory setting has the throttle blade at the bottom open like 0.1 of a millimeter or something like that. Well, there was no way to know where that was really at. And the fast idle, this one didn't work, but they were not open wide enough as well. So I went through the Bentley manual and put those to factory spec. The last thing I did is I put the linkage back on, and you'll notice that this linkage on this side, that rod's non-adjustable, okay? But on this side here, it is adjustable so that you can play with some different lengths to make it. So what I've done is I've basically taken and I've synced these so that the reaction or the action on the throttles on both is equal. So it's sort of baselined in. When I had this off, and like one side was so tight, it was putting tension on the butterfly, and the other side was completely loose. So when you would have tweaked the throttle just a little bit, this side would be opening and that side would still be closed. Well, that's a cause for another mess. So we had a vacuum leak, massive vacuum leak. We had no choke. The fast idle settings were messed up on that side. That side had a leak. That side was also way incorrectly adjusted for the butterflies. So that's all being fixed up. We put these idle solenoids back in. I'm excited. I think, there's a chance that now that the fast idle works and is going to run on all four cylinders, that there's a chance I can salvage these original carburetors. As much of a pain in the butt they are to work with, I will do that. And the last thing I did was just to make sure there's no vacuum lines or vacuum leaks. This was a little loose down here, so I put a hose clamp on there to tighten it up. But lots there, but hopefully enough to make a difference. This is the Bentley manual, carburetor troubleshooting, and it's got a ton of useful information. I used a lot of resources off the internet. Ratwell has a great article on the 32s. Maybe I got it right here even. Do I? Let's see. Where is it? Maybe I don't have it, but this is a great article that I got off the Samba as well. Amazing job about starting. It explains all the vacuum lines, how you can check them all, and the whole procedure for balancing and making it work. Gone through most of that. We should be ready to go. And here's another little article that does a great job overviewing. So Bentley, internet, lots of patience and work. Hopefully we get it right this time. Wow, listen, I forgot another a big update about Van Gogh since since I was working on the carburetors. Let's take a look at what happened here. Yeah, so I had the seats recovered at a upholstery shop in a nearby city, and they did a beautiful job. So these seat covers are from no longer available VW over in the UK. Quality of the fabric is beautiful, beautiful, and the vinyl is beautiful. And so they restuffed them, not overstuffed. I like the fact that they're not bursting with foam. They're a little bit factory-ish, but they should be super comfortable. They're very firm, and wow, just does a great job to finishing off the interior of the bus. So really excited about that upgrade. And once we get an engine in, we'll be able to really enjoy those seats.
This side's dried up too. This side's good now. I like it's got too much pressure on it. That good?
Hey, so as you can see, success at last. Wonderful to finally have the engine together and have it running so well. Big shout out to my friend Harley for coming over and helping me dial in these PDSIT carbs. So runs great, and obviously the next step is going to be able to put it back together in Van Gogh, and soon we'll be on the road. So thanks so much for watching and following along in our journey to save this bus, and watch for more content soon.